Okay, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about different types of symbols that we might use. Again, the specification means we have to understand that, and it's good practice in Animate to be using symbols in the library. And I'm going to recreate this initial title scene. So let's go File, New. Again, my dialog box, I've just gone for 1280 by 720. As I've said before, I'm just checking I've got the same frame rate and we're on ActionScript. That's all good. Create. I'm going to choose a slightly different background color this time, just to differentiate. So again, by the way, if you don't want the preset colors here, there you can pretty much go in the top right hand corner there and you get this dialog box where you can literally start to choose any kind of hexadecimal, any kind of color, and there is the hexadecimal number there if you need specific kind of specific colors. But I'm going to pick that. I also I personally like to check if I go to 75% that I can see the edges, so I know where I'm sort of animating within. And in this scene, scene 1, I've only got one scene within this document, I'm going to have some text coming in from the left, and I'm going to place I'm just going to place like a logo or an image. And in the video that I've created, I've kind of used like a cat. So first of all, let's get the cat in. Let's start with a cat. So layer 1, I'm going to call cat. Now, okay. Now this is kind of important. I'm just going to do, let's say, 2 seconds of this. Now this is important because you are going to need to you're going to need to import lots of different images or parts of images, backgrounds, audio, potentially video, photographs, all kinds of things that you might want to animate with. So that's what we're going to try and understand here. File, import to library. Now I'm going to, because again, we are required to know about libraries, I just explain a little bit here. I could bring it into just the stage, but I'm going to, good practice, bring everything into the library. I won't be opening the external library at this point because I haven't got anything set up, but again, you could. So you could create a library, share it, and somebody else could bring that into their work. I could also bring video in. I might want to draw on top of the video, so do some rotoscoping. I might want a little bit of video to play, etc. I'm not going to show you that in this. That's something further down the line, I think. So most basic, import to library. And this is going to kind of sort of take me to my, as I said earlier, my assets. So let's go and find the assets that I need in Animate. And it was in young people these days. So let's see what I've got. And this is what we looked at earlier. Now, I wanted the cat. I just got this sort of cat that features right the way through my my animation. And so I assume it's in my cats and dogs. Let's have a look. Dogs didn't seem to make it. I think I had dogs and then I got rid of the dogs. And I think it was the ginger cat that I wanted. Now, you'll also notice that most of these are PNGs. But I will just explain that .ai, .eps, .psd, there's a whole load of different types of images. PNG is a portable network graphic, works really well with something like Animate. In my eyes, it probably is more useful than a JPEG because a JPEG has a solid background and a PNG has a transparent background. So for example, with this cat, if I open it and go up to my library, which is in this sort of properties panel on the right, I can now see that I've got a cat. If I click on that file, and I know from this little icon here, it's a photo, or it's an image, a PNG. Now, all I have to do to get it on my stage is drag it in. And of course, I'm on frame 1. I've named it cat. I was going to kind of place it over here, but you can pretty much put it wherever you want. So let me put it where I want my cat. But I'm going to do something else. I'm actually going to convert this into a symbol, because once it's a symbol, I can reuse that symbol as an instance, and it will save me a huge amount of memory. Again and again and again. The specification asks us to know about symbols. Symbols are really worth knowing, so I'm just going to quickly go through what a symbol actually is. So look, let's do it first. Modify, convert to symbol. Again, you've got shortcuts, F8, but I'm going to do everything longhand just so you get used to it, and then we can build up your own practice with shortcuts. But let's convert this to a symbol. And the dialogue that I get is, what do I want to call it? Well, I'm going to call it, now there are a few cats I think in this, so I'm going to call it Ginger Cat. And I get 3 choices. I won't show you buttons. Buttons more for interactivity. A button, if you were developing some sort of interactive content, we're not. We're just creating an animation. But buttons essentially would allow you different states. There are 4 states to a button, and when you click on it, it would some kind of code would kick in, some action script where you could do X, go to the next scene or make something happen. We're not going to worry about that. So the 2 that I think we're going to worry about, and in this one we're just going to look at the graphic, is that this is just going to be a graphic. The movie clip will have its own timeline, so I will show you that next. But for now, we're just going to worry about this being a graphic. And if I say OK, before I say OK, the registration point, I just want to make sure that's in the center at this stage. So let's hit OK. So now you can see that I've got a slightly different icon. And that means that I can start bringing my cat in lots of different times. I could do that with a PNG, but it just means that it's all coming from the one instance. But I don't want to do that. I want to get rid of those cats. Too many cats. I think we said we'd make 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 2 frames wouldn't be very long. 2 seconds of animation. So based on it being 24 frames, that's 48. So let's add a keyframe. And that means if I play my animation now, nothing really happens here except I've got 2 seconds. So let's just play it so we can see. And again, I would get your students to do this, to practice this. Like, okay, it's kind of looping, so I don't quite know what happens there. But it just means that I test all the time. I test, is the image the right size? Is it too blurry? Is it too small? Is it too big? Etc. So I can go back and revisit that. Now, I want this to be my titles scene, and I want some titles to slide in from the left. I'll do one from the left and one from the right, just again to mix it up a bit. Bring the playhead back to the beginning, and I'm just going to lock the cat up now. So that just means that layer is, I'll just stay there for now. Let's hit the plus. It says new layer. Let's go for main title. So yeah, okay. I'm in layer 1. Frame 1, layer 2, and if I zoom out a bit, let's go out to 50%. I'm going to start putting my text right over here off the stage so that it slides nicely on. And this time I'm going to go to my text tool, grab my text tool, and I think we're going to call it, this one is called screen time. I'm using, I clicked on that really quickly, my selection tool. I can kind of move that about. I'm just moving my mouse, by the way, just to kind of shift around. You can use that bar. You've got the same on the right hand side of going up and down. But I want this to come off here, and then when my movie starts, it gives me like a fraction of a second before it appears here. So it'll slide in from the left hand side. Now before I do that, I just want to check, have I got the right font? Am I happy with the font? So let's go to my properties. This one, I don't know why Bungie came up, but let's just have a look. And if we change it, let's go for something like Chinese rocks. You could see it changes the look. It's actually quite difficult to read. So screen time, that looks kind of crazy. I don't like that. Anyway, this is how you control your fonts. So you can go through, find the fonts that you want to work with. I've got one here. This one, there you go. I quite like this. You've also, got options like we can make this bold. We can make this bigger. By the way, you can put any number in this. Let's just put in 122 and hit enter. No, still not that big. But when that's in the middle, that's about the right size. So more luck than judgment. But let's now do that thing that we did where we moved right the way across. Now, I don't want this to take 2 seconds. I want this to happen, I don't know. I'm gonna try just under 1 second, so about 15, 16 frames, something like that. And then I can change that if necessary. I'm going to insert a keyframe. and move screen time to where I want it to sort of end up, somewhere like here. That's where I want it to stay. And then if you remember, we right click and create a classic tween. Okay. And it means it starts there and it ends there. And then it stays there. It doesn't move. Okay, so it starts there and ends there. And that's all I want to happen. I'm not doing anything cleverer than that at the moment. Let's add something moving in, sliding in from the right hand side. So this is the subtitle. You might not have this. I think having titles is really good. Same thing at the end, crediting who made the work, who did the sound, whose ideas, who's the director. Okay, so subtitle. So this time I'll speed up a bit. I'm going to get a different font just to keep the same colour. I think the colour will look good. Let's just go for something Arial. We all know and love Arial. A study of... I don't know what we're studying. Here we go. So this time, look, that's too big. I'm gonna highlight that and make it smaller. Just this time, I'm just dragging about there. That looks about right to me. And actually, that font I thought looked quite terrible. So let's go for something. There you go. Kind of weird mixing fonts, but it might look all right. Use my selection tool to place this off the screen. This time the right hand side. I don't want to place it in front of the cat. I want it just above the cat. And this time this is going to scroll in here. Now I actually want my subtitle to start once this is in place. So I'm going to grab that frame. So I'm going to grab that frame and just move it into place, which is here. Okay, I'm just going to grab it and shift it around so that once my main title stops moving, my subtitle can start moving, and that will come in, and that's going to, in fact, let's get that in really quickly. So we've got like a nice slow one and then a super quick one. So less frames to make it quicker. Hit that insert button, and we want that to end up sort of just under here. A study of young people and their media habits or something like that. Right click in between them to get the classic tween. And now I think we're done. So there you go. It's actually quite easy once you get the hang of it. It takes a little bit of a while to get used to this. If you decide for any reason you don't like any of this, it's all wrong, you need more frames, you can literally just grab that frame and pull it out. Now we haven't got keyframes in here. I always think it's good practice to just at the end, even though they're not moving or doing anything, I would probably just add a keyframe in both. And then I might just drag those out as well. If I don't drag them out, what will happen is that when I get to 2 seconds or 48 frames, the text will just disappear, which is fine. That could happen as well. That could look pretty good. If I don't want that to happen, I just want it to be there. I'm going to drag those frames out right the way. So we've got 60 frames worth. And of course, that is only just over 2 seconds. So let's test it, see what it looks like. It might be way too quick. We might need at least 4 seconds, something like that. But again, this is all part of that iterative testing that you can do with your students. That is part of Unit 2. It's about right. So that's pretty good. There you go. So that's how we might start to use some of the symbols, the graphic symbol. In the next video, we'll look at creating a motion. Here you go. We've got a movie clip, which is a bit of animation within a symbol. I'll tell you more about that in the next video.